Yo, what is going on guys, Houndish here, and thanks a lot for dropping by today for another Destiny video. And today we got some more awesome House of Wolves content for you. So I'm going to be showing you some gameplay of the Payment 6, which is a new pulse rifle you can pick up in the Prison of Elders. I picked it up, I think, on my first run of the 32 level Prison of Elders, which is pretty damn cool. So I'm going to be showing you some gameplay of that, but also it's worth mentioning that we're playing on Black Shield map right here, which is on Mars's moon, Phobos, which is pretty damn cool. And it's a pretty awesome map indeed, so it's going to be a little bit of a mixed bag. Firstly, I'll talk about this pulse rifle, we'll talk a little bit about the map, maybe about the DLC in general. So let's get into it then. So the Payment 6 is pretty cool actually, pulse rifle. I'm really glad I managed to pick this one up because I do like pulse rifles in PvP, especially, you know, fairly punchy ones. And this one is actually quite nice to use in general. So before I kind of talk too much about it, let's just generally go over what perks I've got on here. I'm not entirely sure how the perks work on these weapons, whether it's a standard set of perks that you get when it's dropped and then you can reforge it, or whether you get random perks, you know, like when you get random drops of Vanguard weapons and stuff. So I'm not entirely sure whether you will have these exact perks on it when you first pick it up. Of course you can re-roll it, but anyway, right here I'm running with the red.ores sight, which is actually pretty nice. I really like this sight. You can also have kind of the focus lens and another one as well, I'm not sure what it is. The second perk you can get is hip fire, which is an interesting one, not necessarily the best, but you know, sometimes pulse rifle hipfire can be kind of useful in a fairly close range. And then I've got high caliber rounds, which I am pretty glad about because I use them on my Red Death, you know, quite a lot. Red Death is probably my favorite PvP weapon in general, so that's definitely a good start with this. It helps when you kind of acquisite in them and you can kind of, once you start getting damage on them, it's a lot harder for them to kind of do, you know, high amounts of damage back to you. Also, in the same, on the same kind of tier of 3, you can have the agility perk, 2 times agility, whatever that's called, and you can also have hand laid stock, which kind of increases the stability to almost full on this weapon, but you do lose a good chunk of the range. So I decided to just stick with the high caliber rounds. And then the very final perk on this is glass half full, which is a bit of a mixed bag for me. I'm not entirely sure whether you can get like a different crit in PvP once you're on the bottom half of the magazine. In PvE it can be fairly useful and fairly kind of noticeable against lower tier kind of enemies when you're generally just shooting and running around and stuff. But this perk really, you know, the benefit of it depends on you as a player. If you find yourself reloading all the time, which you will notice I do basically all the time from this gameplay right here, I more or less reload every time, you know, that I can. So a lot of the time this perk isn't really going to benefit me, but like I said, it depends kind of on your playstyle. You may find that a perk like this, you know, really suits you and is pretty damn awesome, especially if you kind of pay some attention to it in general. So the crit damage on this thing is 33 to the head. The Red Death does 36 to give you like a broad kind of comparison, because I do refer to Red Death a lot because I have a fair amount of experience with that gun. So 2 or 3 sprays, you're pretty much always going to get your kill if you're hitting your targets with the Red Death. I would say it's pretty much 4 sprays. You get a couple of body shots and some headshots. You're looking at a good 4 kind of pulls of your trigger on a target to take them out with this gun. And because of the rate of fire, that's actually, you know, fairly decent. So comparing it to, say, the Oversoul Edict, I do think that's what it's called, and the Predith's Timepiece. Damn, had so many weapons, it's really hard to actually remember what the hell's going on. But yeah, Predith's Timepiece and Oversoul Edict, I would say that this is probably a considerably better PvP pulse rifle, just because the damage, the crit, it's a lot punchier with the impact and stuff than either of those are. So if you want something that's Red Death-esque, now I don't want to make too strict of a comparison because obviously all you guys will be telling me that's pretty stupid, bro. But if you do want something similar, if you like that weapon and you'd like a legendary kind of in that slot instead, then definitely this is something to seriously consider. So there you go guys, that's kind of the general discussion I wanted to have about this weapon. Obviously you're seeing the gameplay right here. If you have a chance to pick it up or reforge it, then you'll be able to make your own decisions about this gun. That is what's cool with the kind of new system for these weapons. So to talk a little bit about the Black Shield map, which you're seeing right here, it is a very cool map. I remember seeing some gameplay of it before the Dark Below came out, and I definitely thought it was pretty awesome, because obviously we have this very Martian style. It is also called a fire base. I can't remember what it's actually called. Obviously it's on the start of this gameplay, but anyway, it's not actually on Mars, it's on Phobos, which is one of Mars's moons. So that's a very cool idea that there's kind of more Cabal kind of buildings and outposts or whatever you want to call them kind of in that area as well. And it's a nice kind of new visual space and a little bit of a different style from the map as well. So it's a pretty cool layout. You've got like this kind of semi-circle shape going around the outside of the map, and that's where your 3 zones are kind of laid out almost in a semicircle anyway. And then kind of between them you've got these different kind of engagement ranges. So you've got slightly wider spaces, but then a lot of very narrow kind of lines of sight and doorways and things like that to enter. So it is kind of varied at the same time. I think Blink, what I'm using here, is definitely kind of an advantage to be running if you're a hunter or a warlock, because obviously you get these closer range spaces. It's good to be able to jump about a little bit, perhaps not so much in the interiors because there's quite sort of fairly low ceilings, but anyway, it's nice to have that mobility in these areas. And then in the middle you've got this kind of hallway which is kind of approached by various different kind of rooms and pathways going into it. So it's really cool. It's a very nice flowing map. It moves pretty well. You can get between different capture points. You can get into the action really good. And right here I've just skipped ahead to the last heavy ammo round that we got, and I've gone pretty mental right here. I managed to get myself a Reign of Terror medal, I think, which is not bad because this is like, I'd only played a couple of PvP games on these new maps, so it was nice to do pretty well on this one in particular. So there you go, guys. That's a bit of a random mixed bag of gameplay of the Payment 6 and the Black Shield map as well, and generally House of Wolves, which I want to talk about, for a minute, because I think it's really, really awesome so far. As soon as I started playing the story missions, I could just tell like all the work they did. The story missions are so cool. I really like kind of the conversation and stuff that goes on between Petra and Varix. Yeah, it's a very much more kind of depthy in terms of story and what's going on. Much more interesting than any other story content, I think we've ever seen in Destiny. So that element of it is really cool. And then obviously having the Trials of Osiris as well as Prison of Elders, the new strike, just the amount of new gear they've put in and kind of progression as well and playability, like in the Prison of Elders, being able to kind of, keep doing different ranks, different levels of it, pick up even shaders, ships, all of that stuff, as well as Queen's Wrath. It's really, really awesome. And like I was saying before when I was talking about the pulse rifle, how obviously we can reforge our weapons and have things, a little bit different, play around with things and, get them the way we want them. That is really, really awesome. So I think Bungie have pulled out all the stops on this one so far, and I am really impressed. I think they've done some incredible work on this DLC, and I really cannot wait to just carry on grinding it and, see where I get. I'm still working on my main Titan, which is my main character. It's not actually this hunter, which I've managed to get to 33. Obviously, this is only the first full day after the DLC has come out, so there's lots more to actually be kind of getting on with in general. But anyway, guys, bit of a random rant and some gameplay and some different stuff. My head is absolutely exploding this week with all of this new stuff dropped in there. But I had a great game, some nice gameplay of that new pulse rifle, which I'm really happy about. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have, drop me a like and a comment down below. Hit that subscribe button for a lot more Destiny content. I'll let you see the score for this game because I got a 9 KD, which is pretty nice. I can't complain because I'm not the most insane PvPer necessarily, but when I have a good game, I really do have a good game. But anyway, guys, have an absolutely awesome week enjoying the rest of the DLC. I'll be bringing you lots more content, so stay tuned for that, and I'll catch you very soon. Peace out.